everyone, and welcome to TWF Rampage or Ramfru. I am Jim Ross, here with Tony Schiavone and with Montel Vertadius Porter. And today on Rampage or Ramfru, we're going to see two more men who are going to be in a kingly loudness, Jim Ross says. Well, that's right, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone said. We're going to see two more men who are going to be in the TWF kingly loudness, since Royal Rumble are French borrowed words. But we're going to see the two other men who will be in the ring, Tony Schiavone says. You're right about that, Jim Ross says. It'll be the first time in a long time. Hey, isn't it true? Well, Jim Ross said we'll get to see who these other two men in the kingly loudness are going to be, Jim Ross said. I'll tell you one thing, Montel Vertadius Porter says, Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone. I know that my man Omos will be in there. I know Bobby Lashley will be in there. I don't know about Killer, and there's still a hang-up between Killer and myself, and we got to get things worked out. Well, I understand before we even get started, there seems to be a hang-up going on. We think that we would throw you over the top rope. You think you'd throw me over the top rope, Bray Wyatt said. I just seeked myself again, Venom. My old self. The self I played for years. You don't want to fuck with me. You don't want to fuck with the Eater of Worlds. We are not frightened of you, Bray Wyatt. We will throw you over the top wire. And we will win the kingly loudness. Hold on here. You want to have a... So let me see. Hold on. So you want to fight Venom. Yeah, Astronema. I want to fight Venom. Well, alright. Go ahead. You want to fight Venom? Knock yourself out. And we want... Well, guess what? All of you are going to fight Bray Wyatt here today on Rampage. Now get out there and make it work. Well, we just heard from Astronema, the matchmaker and overseer of the TWF. Now we're going to go to this match now. And here comes Bray Wyatt coming in the ring now. It took me some time, Bray Wyatt said, but I have truly seeked who I was. And I now got back in handling of my old self again. So I want to thank Kenny Omega and I want to thank the Jackal for fucking with me for for many months. Because now I have learned who I truly am. I am the Eater of Worlds. I am the highest leader of hell. And that means something when the King of Hell is the highest leader. Made on the first leader, or the first fame. But anyway, and I'm going to beat Venom here today, then I will throw those who are yielding themselves up to be thrown out in the kingly loudness. Well, if we can seek the, and if we can somehow, some way, seek the Fight Lord, we can have our match. We are not happy with how you've been, Bray Wyatt. Now you're behaving like a sinner again. Well, you are a sinner. But now you're behaving like that evildoer you were ashamed of being from 2010 while to 2021 while, but now in 2022 while, 2023 while, you're going back to the way you are. And we will not stand for it. We will throw you over the top wire. We will win the kingly loudness. How can you say it's we when there's only one of you, Nemesis? I say, go to fucking hell. Oh! Well, Jim Ross says Bray Wyatt has struck Nemesis here. And we know Bray Wyatt and Nemesis will be the two selves. The two of others that will be in the keenly loudness, Jim Ross says. Bray Wyatt, taking down Nemesis with his running into him in the back, with his back. Well, I can tell you what, Tony Schiavone said, Bray Wyatt is now back to being his evil self again. He's back to being the warlock again, or whatever he was. You know. He's back to being the evildoer that he talked about and said he didn't like being. Tony Schiavone said, well, I can tell you what, Montel Porter says, some folks, they never change. Some folks, you know, Bray Wyatt, we should have known he was going to be his true self. And this is his true self. Sister Abigail on Nemesis. Now Bray Wyatt's doing all this shit now, Jim Ross says. Bray Wyatt somehow's got into his head. He thinks that he's going to beat Nemesis. And he thinks he's going to win the Keenly Loudness. And he thinks he's become the TWF heavyweight and world heavyweight fighter. Jim Ross said, well, Tony Schiavone said Bray Wyatt was the former WWE heavyweight fighter and two-time world heavyweight fighter and former WWE Raw tag team fighter, formerly the SmackDown tag team fighter, the FCW, two-time FCW tag team fighter. And now Bray Wyatt's in a bind right now, and a body slam by Nemesis, which likes to talk to himself as a third self, Tony Schiavone said. I don't know what's up with that, Jim Ross said, but Nemesis taking down Bray Wyatt. I don't know why he talks that way, Montel Porter said. I never read any of the funny books back in the day, and I only saw the one first film that Disney made for Marvel, so I don't know why he talks that way. But Nemesis believes he'll be the one to win the Keenly Loudness, or all those other selves that he talks about. Are you wrestling one? Are you wrestling all of them? Another body slam. And Nemesis is going to get ready. Oh, coming up here, Nemesis wants to go after Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt just got out of the way of Nemesis. Sister Abigail. Oh! He just hit the Fight Lord down by mistake. Bray Wyatt is now back to being back to his former self again. Jim Ross said that he played from 2012 YL till he's 29 between YL. 1, 2, 3. Ding, ding, ding. Here is your winner, Bray Wyatt. And Bray Wyatt has beaten Nemesis here. And now he's back to his former self again, being the self he did play many, many years ago. And all I must say to all my folks who have followed me over the years, thank you for onlooking me and loving me, and thank you for your forgiveness of my past mistakes. And I may tell all you folks, I haven't told you this in a long time, follow the buzzards. Woot! Well, Bray Wyatt's back to being his former self again. The self that he did play back from 2012 YL to about 29 between YL, when he was offshooted as before he became the Fly Funhouse greeter and started wrestling as the Fiend Bray Wyatt, the other self that he was playing. Either some folks got or some folks didn't get. Well, I know one thing, Jim Ross says. If Bray Wyatt is back to being his former self again, then that means hang up in a bind for every other fellow wrestler and fellow fighter or overstar here in the TWF, Jim Ross says. Yes, it does, Tony Schiavone says. We all know what mind games and what witchcraft and whatever stuff that Bray Wyatt can play or what he can do. Just ask anyone who's ever fought him. But at the end of the day, I don't truly think that I truly think it's going to be bad news for anyone who has to wrestle him and fight him, Tony Schiavone said. You're right, Montel Mercedes Porter says. I'll tell you one thing, Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone. When Bray Wyatt woke up yesterday and said, "Fuck, I know who I am," well, that was bad news. When he started to behave like he once behaved, that was already bad. It was already bad for everyone. It was already too late for everyone, Montel Mercedes Porter says. But will that be bad news for everyone in Keenly Loudness? Well, Michael Cole is now going to be talking with Bray Wyatt. Alright, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, I'm going to be talking with Bray Wyatt here today on Rampage or Ramfru. He's back to being his old self again. So, Bray Wyatt, I guess you're back to being the self you played from 2012 YL to 29 between YL. Oh, it's good to be yourself, Michael Cole. You know, I played many selves in my 2010 YL to 2021 YL run in WWE, my 2-Ford run in WWE 2022 YL to now. I first played Husky Harris, and when I was in a new Nexus. Then I played Eli Cottonwood, whoever he was. And then I became Bray Wyatt, and many offshoots of Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, the Warlock. Bray Wyatt, the Lucifer worshipper. Bray Wyatt, the Firefly Funhouse greeter. And Bray Wyatt, oh, I'm sorry for my past mistakes and sins. And back to being Bray Wyatt, what I was before. So I guess you're saying you're the first leader of hell, or the first Fane of hell? I can't be the first Fane of hell, Michael Cole. You know, the King of Hell is the top leader of hell, right? Anyway, Nemesis learned not to fuck with me. Kenny Omega and the Jackal, well, they were only seeking to help me, because they knew the true me, and it took me dealing with them to learn who I was. So, do you have a hang up with Nemesis or do not? I don't know if I truly got a hang up with Nemesis or not, Michael Cole. Nemesis was just in the wrong stead in the wrong time. He came at me and said he was going to throw me out of Keenly Loudness. Oh, but I showed him, didn't I? I Sister Abigail'd him. And I told him to follow the buzzards. And if Nemesis or all those other selves, he keeps saying we all the time. When I only saw one of him, I only Sister Abigail'd one of him. I don't care. I'm gonna win the Keenly Loudness. And if Nemesis gets in my way again, well, I'll just drop him again like I did before. Well, that was my talk with Bray Wyatt. Back to you, Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone. Well, thank you, Michael Cole, for talking with Bray Wyatt here today. Thank you for talking with Bray Wyatt here today on Rampage or Ramfru. And that's all the time we got here. I am Jim Ross for Tony Schiavone and Montel Mercedes Porter. We hope you like Rampage or Ramfru, and we'll see you tomorrow for Power or Might.